Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel ForexPnL, where we focus on making big profits and small losses. Today is the 11th of September 2021. It's Saturday and it's time for me to do my weekend Forex market analysis for the upcoming week. Right now I have about 13 currency pairs that are giving me some technical levels to keep an eye on as we go into next week. So without any further delays guys, let's go into the charts and see exactly what's going on. Alright, now I'm going to be kicking things off with our US dollar Swiss francs. Starting off from the monthly time frame. As we can see here, I still keep calling this particular area on our charts. Okay, right now what I'm seeing here is a potential rising channel that is still in the making. Okay, I still believe that somehow price is going to find its way to the upside, all right, into this supply zone that we have on the monthly time frame. Okay, and then from there I would like to see the bears coming to the markets. Not much. This is not a very big analysis, to be honest, because right now you cannot say that this is a channel, but in my own opinion that is what it is looking like. Okay, we've had significant hesitation in this area. Okay, the market has not gone anywhere for a while, and you can see it's as if we are beginning to get some bullish momentum in the markets, and slowly but surely the market is headed to the upside, at least from the price action that I'm seeing on the monthly time frame. All right, so let's see how that goes. That's what I'm seeing from the monthly time frame. Now from the weekly time frame, we can see this level right here. Okay, this area, this selling origin. In my own opinion, price is probably going to find a way to give us a dip into that area, and then I will expect some form of at least a reaction, maybe to retest, this area that was acting as resistance on our charts, and then maybe from there, before the markets will give us another push to the upside, maybe to the return line of this channel, and from where I am expecting the markets to take off to the downside. All right, so let's see how it goes. Now going into the, let's say, the daily time frame, not much here. Now zooming into the 4 hours time frame, what do we see here? Well, clearly this is a clear demand zone that we have on our charts, that was formed as a result of this break of level of structure on our charts to the upside. All right, so this demand zone was formed, and you can see price has given us a pullback into that demand zone right around the institutional price level of 0.9150, and from there you can see that the bulls are now coming back into these markets. And actually I was on a trade on this on Thursday, but I had to close this just ahead of market close, okay, because I wanted to see how the markets will open next week before I continue searching for opportunities on this particular currency pair. All right, but that's basically what I'm seeing. I'm seeing a situation whereby this demand zone is going to hold price, and maybe from here we might begin to see that bullish move that I was talking about. All right, so that's basically my game plan for US dollar Swiss francs for next week. Let's see how it goes. Next currency pair is going to be British pounds US dollar. Now looking into the longer time frames, obviously the monthly chart, if you guys remember from some weeks ago, I had mapped out this demand zone on the monthly, all right, that was formed as a result of this break of structure. Okay, you can see this area of resistance that we had. So we are yet to dip into that demand zone again, and who knows, maybe the market is now maybe going to make that decision to probably give us another swing to the downside into that demand zone that we have before we get a continuation to the upside. All right, that's basically the information I have from the monthly time frame. Now looking into the weekly time frame, if you guys remember, in the previous weeks I was mapping out this particular demand zone here, but to be completely honest with you, as I get more data, all right, I begin to lose faith on the strength of this demand zone. Okay, and the reason is because you can see price has dipped into that demand zone for about 4 or 5 times without really taking off to the upside. So this is not a strong demand zone anymore. So in my own opinion, I am now looking at this particular demand zone that we have on the weekly that has not been tested yet. What I'm seeing is a situation whereby the markets might give us a very nice push to the downside from here, all right, into this demand zone, and then from here we might now get another nice push to the upside. That's the kind of price action that I would love to see going into next week. Price has for some reason given us a significant resistance right around this area. Watch the high of this week, the high of this previous week, the high of this area, right? And actually the high of this week as well, sitting right around that 138.50 level. So for the past 5 weeks, price has found it difficult to trade above that 138.50 level. Yes, the bulls may have an argument that this week closed a pin bar and maybe a possible move to the upside. But to be completely honest with you, as I get more data on this particular currency pair, I begin to, turn my analysis from bullish to bearish, all right, in this particular pair, at least for a possible dip into this demand zone that was formed as a result of this break of level of structure. So that's the kind of move I would like to see right now. I would like to first of all see the bears come into this market, push the markets to the downside, manipulating below these lows, and then from there, any reversals to the upside, I'll be looking for an opportunity to go long. That's basically what I am seeing in this particular currency pair at the moment, all right, at least from the weekly time frame. Now I'm going into the daily. Things begin to become very clear in my opinion. Okay, you can see we had this previous level of supply, all right, price dipped in here. You can see how the markets took off to the downside. Upon the second attack into that area, you can see how the markets took off to the downside. All right, even though we failed to make a new low, but at least look at how price is leaving that particular supply zone. All right, and now we have a third attack, fourth attack, and you can see we closed Friday a pin bar. In my own opinion, the bears are acting, the market is looking more bearish than bullish as far as these charts are concerned. All right, so what I would love to see now is for a change in market structure, okay, to the downside. Right now the bulls are still in control, but from the 4 hours time frame, what I would love to see right now is for the market to start turning around to the downside. Actually, it has actually begun, because you can see this area right here has been broken to the downside. Look at where the markets closed below this area. So slowly but surely the markets are beginning to change its movements from bullish to bearish. So, well, maybe if the market continues to push the downside as we go into next week, I will be looking for opportunities to go short upon retest of supply zones that form on the smaller time frames. That's going to be my game plan going into next week for British pounds and the US dollar. Now, the only time I'm really going to turn bullish in this particular currency pair is if the market opens and we get a very nice push and break of this level of supply that we have on the daily. Then upon pullbacks, I'll be looking for demand zones that form on the smaller time frames for further continuations to the upside. That's the only time I'm going to be bullish in this pair. But for now, based on what I'm seeing, this market is looking more bearish than bullish. All right, that's my analysis for British pounds and US dollar. Now going into Euro US dollar, if we go into, let's say, the daily time frame, all right, just pretty similar to the British pounds US dollar. You can see how the supply zone has been holding price within, okay, and then from there you can see we upon this test we got this pin bar, and then from there it's been bearish ever since. All right, that being said, if I go into the 4 hours time frame, you would notice that in the 4 hours time frame we have this area like right here, this demand zone, all right, that actually you can see how price took off from that demand zone. And then from there, we got a retest of that area right around institutional price level of 1,800. And you can see we got a reaction to the upside. But reading price action further, you would notice that that reaction actually got curtailed, all right, within this supply zone that we have on the 4 hours time frame. So you see the supply zone, you can see how that supply zone actually held price when price gave us a push into it. From there, you can see how the bears are now coming back into the market, coming to attack that demand zone again. So in my own opinion, just like British pounds US dollar, euro dollar is also looking bearish, all right, going into next week. My game plan right here is I would first of all like to see price take off this demand zone. All right, this demand zone right here, what I would love to see next week is for price to give me a nice break to the downside, clearly breaking this particular demand zone. And then obviously as we break that demand zone, you can see we are also running into this demand zone right here. So I would love to see from there maybe a push to the upside again, back to retest 1,800 from below, and then from there any reversals that I get from that area, I'll be looking for an opportunity to go short for further continuations to the downside. All right, that's basically my game plan. And just like the case of cable, in any event where from here, let's say the market opens and the markets begin to shoot to the upside, clearly breaking this supply zone that we have on the daily time frame, then in my own opinion, I'll be waiting for a pullback into demand zones that form on the smaller time frames for further continuations to the upside. That's the only situation where I will be interested in going long in euro dollar. All right, so that's my analysis for euro dollar. Next up is US dollar Canadian dollar. Well, again, this pair, you guys know my long-term analysis in this pair is bearish from this supply zone. Okay, I see a situation whereby this supply zone is going to hold price, and from here we're going to get a very nice push to the downside. That's what I'm seeing. Right now it's looking as if it's going to be that 1.3000 institutional price level. I'm seeing a situation whereby should we retest, let's say 1.3000, 1.3050 area, from there I expect the institutional traders to come into this market and find a way to push this market to the downside. As you can see here from a demand and supply perspective, this is the last supply that we have here. We already have a hint from this particular dip. Look at how the market behaved as soon as we dipped into the supply zone. The market shut down for about 500 pips within 2 weeks. All right, so right now you can see this week closed and engulfed, right, to the upside again, which in my opinion looks as if the bulls are still interested in giving another attack to that particular supply zone that we have on the weekly time frame. So I would not be surprised if the market gives us a very nice push to the upside, even manipulating above this previous high that we have in this area. All right, and maybe to push price into that area, take off the early sellers, and then from there push the markets again further to the downside. That is what I can see from the price action in the weekly charts of US dollar Canadian dollar. All right, now going into the daily time frame, you can see that, well, right here, price is actually just bouncing off of the demand zone that we have. You can see this demand zone that was formed as a result of this break of structure to the upside, okay? And then this demand zone was formed, and you can see price dips into this demand zone, and from here you can see the way the market is bouncing off of that area. So what I'm seeing here is a situation whereby possibly the markets can make its way towards, let's say, 130-100 area, manipulating above this previous swing high, and then from there the markets will collapse to the downside. That is the price action that I would love to see in US dollar Canadian dollar. Now obviously as we go into next week, you can see slowly but surely, this is the hourly time frame. Price is now breaking supply zones that we have, levels of structure that we have on the 4 hours on the hourly time frame. So well, next week all I'll be looking for is for price to give me, a nice push to the upside, and then upon pullbacks I'll be looking for demand zones that form on the, let's say, hourly time frame, and then any bounces or any rejections, I'll be looking for an opportunity to go long for further continuations to the upside as we ride price back towards that 12900, 13000 area. All right, that's basically my game plan for US dollar Canadian dollar going into next week. Next up is Australian dollar US dollar. Now going into the weekly time frame, if you guys remember last week in my Forex forecast, I told you guys that yes, we are bouncing off of a demand zone here to the upside. However, we also have a supply zone, and that price basically ran into that supply zone, and this is going to be a key decision week, and for us to know what this market wants to do. And as you can see here, this week actually the price is respecting that supply zone that we have on the weekly time frame, as you can see how this week closed a very nice and bearish candle. So well, what happens from here, only time will tell, but honestly I am more bearish than bullish in this pair as well, because you can see as we zoom into the daily time frame, clearly what happened was price gave us a very nice push to the upside into this supply zone that was formed as a result of this break of structure. All right, and you can see that from there the market is now beginning to push to the downside. So we have more or less a nested supply zone. You can see we have a daily supply zone that is nested in a weekly supply zone, and that is why you can see how the market is now reacting off of that area. That being said, you can also see that here we have a demand zone on the daily time frame. Okay, this area right here is a demand zone on the daily time frame, because you can see we did get a break of this level of structure, all right, to the upside. So this is a demand zone. So well, this is the last line of attack for the bulls in my own opinion. Okay, at any point price begins to clearly break this demand zone, then the bears are now in control, and this market will continue to flush to the downside. So that's basically what I'm seeing right here on the daily time frame of Australian dollar US dollar. Now if we go into the 4 hours time frame, the picture might get even clearer. All right, so what do I want to see going into next week? Well, it's almost clear that the market is now beginning to shift in momentum. You can see how we were forming higher highs and higher lows in this area of the charts, but notice how after this high was formed, upon the next attack, we begin to form lower highs, and now the market is forming lower lows, all right? Lower highs and lower lows, all right? So, well, this is a key area on this chart. I would like to see price give me a very nice push to the downside, all right? Taking off this demand zone that we have on the daily. Once that happens, upon any pullback towards this area, I'll be looking for supply zones that form on the smaller time frame for any potential reverses, and then I'll be looking for an opportunity to go short for further continuations to the downside. That is basically my game plan for Australian dollar, US dollar. And like I pointed out in the other pairs, the only time I'm going to be interested in going long in this pair, honestly, maybe a break of this demand zone, of this supply zone that we have on the daily. But to be honest with you, at that point, I might still be hesitant. And the reason is because even if we do get a break of this daily supply zone to the upside, we are still going to be trading within the weekly supply zone. So honestly, at this point, I favor bearish than bullish when it comes to Australian dollar, US dollar. So that's basically the way that I see the markets at this particular point. Next up is Euro Australian dollar. As you guys can remember from the last week's forecast, I told you guys I'm really keeping an eye on this particular demand zone right here. You can see, well, the markets are clearly reacting off of that demand zone as we speak. In my opinion, next week, I'm more interested in going long in this pair. Okay, very nice setup in my opinion. Price has given us a dip into the demand zone. We've gotten some form of reversal, pin bar, double pin bar on Friday, all right? So right now, what is left is for this price to now give me a very nice takeoff to the upside. We might get a little bit of an interaction in this particular area. This is not a supply zone because we did not break any demand, but you get the idea. I believe price might run into this area, maybe 1.6150 institutional price level, and then from there we might get another pullback towards, let's say, 1.60, 50, 60, 75 area, from where I will expect the bulls to come into this market. That's the kind of price action that I would love to see in Euro Australian dollar going into next week. But well, as far as this currency pair is concerned, you can see the two dips we got into that demand zone and the rejection we got from that demand zone. All right, so right now I am pretty bullish in this particular currency pair going into next week. All right, next up is Euro Yen. Now looking into Euro Yen, let's go into the weekly time frame, guys. If you remember, again, this is one of the currency pairs that I was anticipating a very nice bullish push for this week. But well, once this week closed bearish, I had to reanalyze and just pay attention to what the market is doing. If I zoom in, you notice that price has been finding it difficult. Again, just like in the other pairs, price has been finding it difficult to break this area. Just watch and see. Price is finding significant resistance in this particular price region. All right, and well, once I noticed this week also respected that particular level, I'm beginning to turn more bearish than bullish as far as this particular currency pair is concerned. In my own opinion, there must be a reason why price is finding it difficult to break that 130.50 area. All right, so well, let's zoom into the smaller time frame. In the daily time frame, what do we have here? Let me zoom out. So in daily time frame, clearly you notice that this supply zone has been in control. This daily supply zone that we have on the daily chart has been in control. We dipped in the first time, made a new low, dipped in the second time again, and you can see the reaction we are beginning to get off of that particular supply zone again. In my own opinion, that shows me that there are enough sellers willing to back this supply zone, and chances are we are probably heading again to the downside. Okay, notice how on Friday price gave us a nice push again to the upside, but you can see the rejection, how they succeeded in closing Friday's candle a very nice pin bar. All right, so the bears are in this market, make no mistakes. Now that being said, obviously you will notice that we have this demand zone that was formed as a result of this break of structure to the upside. Okay, so well, a little hesitation, that might even be the reason why we got this bullish reaction, who knows. But well, from here, maybe if we dip in here, we might still get another pullback before the bears coming into this market to continue pushing the market to the downside. All right, now looking into the 4 hours time frame, you will notice that price actually gave us a bounce off of that demand zone that we have. all right, to the upside, but notice how the structure is now beginning to shift to the downside. Okay, clearly we had this level that was working as a support on our charts in the 4 hours time frame, and well, it finally got broken, all right, to the downside, creating this supply zone in the 4 hours time frame. And you notice that when price dipped into the demand zone on the daily, we got a very nice push again to the upside, but you can see how we are finding resistance off of that supply zone on the 4 hours time frame, and the bears are coming back into this market. All right, so well, in my own opinion, the structure is beginning to change. You can see that in the 4 hours time frame. So well, maybe we might get a very nice break. What I would like to see next week is a nice break of this level right here, dip into this demand zone on the daily. Then upon any pullbacks, I'll be looking for supply zones that form on the smaller time frames. Any reversals that we get, I'll be interested in going short, right, for further continuations to the downside. In the event that we continue to the downside, the best scenario will be a situation whereby price begins to close below this demand zone that we have on the daily charts. Okay, whenever we begin to get price give us a very nice push and close below this daily demand zone, any pullbacks, I'll be looking for opportunities to go short for further continuations to the downside. Right now, I'm more bearish than bullish. That being said, the only time I'm going to be, interested in going long in this particular pair, very simple. If the market opens and from here, the market begins to shoot to the upside, all right, from this area, breaking above this supply zone, then any pullbacks, I'll be looking for demand zones that form on the smaller time frame for further continuations to the upside. That's basically my game plan in Euro Yen going into next week. All right, next up is British pounds and Swiss francs. Okay, this pair worked pretty much in a textbook manner based on my analysis for last week. You can see how price gave us a retest of that trend line of this rising channel right around 1.2600. I didn't get to profit from this anyway because you can see how price took off in momentum off of that area. So I didn't really get any kind of formation that I wanted, but well, that was what we got last week, and you can see how price has already given us a retest of that return line of the channel, and you can see the way we are reacting. That being said, if I go into the is it the daily charts? Yes, in the daily charts, if I zoom out, you notice that, well, we have a trend line that is coming in that area. Let me adjust my lines 1 second, or better still, let me draw another line real quick. All right, so you can see this trend line that we have in this area, guys. So well, you can see price is giving us for the past 2 days we've gotten an attack of that trend line. All right, we have an attack of that trend line, and we've pretty much seen some significant rejection off of that area. So well, who knows, in that area as well we also have this supply zone from the daily charts, as you can see here. So well, price in my own opinion might still maybe give us a push to the downside to retest the trend line of this channel, maybe around 126.50, and then from there give us another attack to the upside into the supply zone. It's very possible. In my own opinion, this is one scenario that I would be looking out for. But if the market, let's say the market opens and first of all, instead of giving us a push to the downside, if the market opens and we begin to push to the upside first, then from here, if we break this area, break this trend line and break this demand zone, I'll be looking for price to give me a pullback into supply zones on the smaller time frame for me to start searching for short opportunities for further continuations to the downside. That is basically going to be my game plan for this pair to the short side. Now, if the market opens and from here, we begin to get price to give us a very nice push to the upside, clearly breaking this trend line and breaking this supply zone, then in my own opinion, the bulls are in control. And then upon any pullbacks, I'll be zooming into the smaller time frames to search for bounces off of demand zones for further continuations to the upside. That is basically my game plan for British pounds and Swiss francs going into next week. Next up is Canadian dollar, Japanese yen. As you can see here, if I zoom into the weekly time frame, this is one of the currency pairs. If you guys remember, I was also waiting to see if we get a very nice push to the upside. Okay, but from now you can see that this week closed a very nice bearish candle. In my opinion, that is not what I anticipated, and I had to go look at this chart again to see what's going on. And right now, to be honest with you, I am more bearish than bullish. All right, and I will explain to you why. All right, now in my opinion, if we zoom into the daily time frame, what do we have here on the daily time frame? Well, you can see how price is pretty much respecting this trend line that we have. you notice how price ran into this trend line, gave us a pin bar, spinning top, and then the bears came into this market. Upon a push to the upside, you can see that, well, we are still pushing again to the downside. So the pressure is clearly to the downside at the moment. So I'm expecting that the bears are going to come into this market and continue to push this market again to the downside. All right. That is basically what I am seeing in this particular currency pair, at least from the daily time frame. Now, I'm expecting that that push is actually going to continue to the downside. All right. Towards this particular demand zone that we have. As a result of this break of structure, you can see this demand zone we have here. I would like to see price give me a dip into this demand zone, and then from here, that is where I would like to see another bounce to the upside. All right. Well, that's basically what I'm seeing from the daily. Now, going into the 4 hours time frame, the picture becomes clearer. As you can see here, it's as if we have a very nice head and shoulder in this particular currency pair. All right, you can see the second neck was formed, and from here, well, the market is now looking as if we are about to complete that move again to the downside, with the neckline of this head and shoulder sitting right around the institutional price level of 86.50. All right, so well, that's a level to keep an eye on. My course of action right now, to be honest with you, I saw this trade on Friday, but I didn't want to take it just because, you know, we have the weekend around the corner. But as you can see here, you will notice that from here, markets began to shift to the downside, and clearly you can see this massive sell that we had, and that created this particular supply zone that we have right here on the 4 hours time frame, this one right here. Okay, and you notice what is happening right now. The markets gave us a push into that supply zone, and then from there you can see the reaction we're already getting to the downside. But well, my next course of action right now is I would love to see price clearly give me a break of the neckline of this head and shoulders to the downside. Okay, once that happens, I'll be waiting for price to give me a pullback, okay, to retest that neckline from below that 86.50 level. If price gets to that area, any bounces that I get from there, in my own opinion, will be a very high quality trade for further continuations to the downside. That is basically my game plan, you know, to sell Canadian dollar, Japanese yen as we go into next week. Now, if that doesn't happen, and let's say the market opens, we start shooting to the upside, I would like to see clearly a break of this trend line. I would like to see price give me a close above this area, okay, this particular area right here. If this happens, then upon any pullbacks, I'll be waiting for price to give me a bounce off of demand zones in the smaller time frames for further continuations to the upside. That is basically my game plan in Canadian dollar, Japanese yen as we go into next week. All right, now next up is British pound, some Japanese yen. Now for this particular currency pair, again, just like the other ones, I was expecting a very nice push to the upside, but you can see the kind of price action we got this week. So well, this actually is looking better right now to the downside, in my own opinion. Okay, you would notice how price is also retesting this trend line. In my own opinion, we have a fake out. If you pay attention to Friday's price action, you can see how price gave us a very nice push to the upside above this trend line, dipping into this particular supply zone that we have on this on the daily time frame, and then succeeding in pushing price again back below that trend line. In my own opinion, this pin bar carries a lot of information. This is a fake out, and from here, I would not be surprised if the market just continues to plummet from this area to the downside. That is my preferred course of action. As usual, guys, if that does not happen, obviously, if we get a break of this supply zone to the upside, then I'll be waiting for price to give me a push to the downside, demand zone bounce from the smaller time frames, and then I'll be looking for long opportunities. But I'm more interested in the sell setup. Okay, this is looking very nice. Manipulation into a supply zone, and closing a pin bar, okay, below this trend line. That is a very nice you know, price action in my opinion. So well, let's go into the 4 hours time frame and see what the market is doing. So well, you can see here that right now price is actually sitting in a demand zone in the 4 hours time frame. All right, right around that institutional price level of 15200 or 150, yes, 15200. And well, let's see how it goes. You can see that from here we are forming higher highs and higher lows. All right, you can see how price gave us that higher high into that supply zone on the daily, and now we are into that demand zone. The safe course of action will be to wait for price to give us a break of this demand zone that we have on the 4 hours time frame. Should that happen, upon any form of a pullback, I'll be looking for supply zones that form on the smaller time frames for further continuations to the downside. That's the safe course of action. An aggressive entry will probably be to now wait for price to give us a push into this supply zone that has formed on the hourly time frame, and then from there just try to short the markets for further continuations to the downside. So this is the supply zone that I'm talking about. One second, let me clean up my charts and go into the hourly time frame. So if you go into the hourly time frame, this is the supply zone that I'm referring to. So an aggressive entry, in my opinion, will be for price to give us a push into the supply zone, maybe into that 152.25 area, and then from there the markets, if the market continues to collapse, that is an indication that the bears are coming into this market, and the markets might continue to push the downside. All right, so that's basically my game plan for British pounds and Japanese yen as we go into next week. I am more bearish than bullish. All right, so going into the next currency pair, New Zealand US dollar. Well, on the weekly time frame, we'll notice how price actually gave us a push into this supply zone. In my own opinion, this currency pair, New Zealand dollar, has been quite strong. So I'm not going to be too keen on going short in this pair. But that being said, I just wanted to point out the fact that price is now giving us some form of a reaction off of that supply zone that we have on the daily time frame, on the weekly time frame. Okay, so now going into the daily time frame, what do we have? We clearly have a very strong demand zone in this area, okay, right around 0.7000 institutional price level. So what I think might happen in this pair, you notice how price on Friday gave us a rejection off of that supply zone on the weekly, closing that day a pin bar. So what I would love to see now is for the bears to come into this market, give us a dip into this particular demand zone that we have here, right around 0.70 institutional price level. I really believe that if price gets into that area, we might get a very significant bounce off of that level deep into this supply zone that we have on the weekly time frame. That's basically what I'm seeing on this particular currency pair. But to be honest with you, I'm not so keen on selling this pair because of the strength of the New Zealand dollar. All right, so but I just wanted to show you guys what I'm seeing on this pair. All right, you can see that this demand zone was created as a result of the break of this level of structure that we have to the upside. So upon any pullback, I think the bulls might come into this market to try and push markets to the upside again. All right, that's basically my game plan for New Zealand and US dollar. Now, British pounds, New Zealand dollar, guys, if you remember last week, I told you guys what my game plan is for this particular currency pair. Clearly, we have a clear break of a trend line right here on the daily time frame. And in the process of that breaking that trend line, you'll notice how we have this whole area. One second, let me zoom into my charts so you can get the picture. All right. You notice that we have this whole area right here that pretty much has been working as support on our chart. You can see how that area has been working as support, and finally what do we get? We get a break of that level. Price pulls back to retest the trend line from below, and then you can see the massive flush to the downside. So right now what I would love to see in this pair is a full swing pullback into that supply zone that was formed, okay? And then from there, any reversals to the downside, guys, in my opinion, that would be a very high quality trade for further continuations in this particular currency pair to the downside. All right, that's basically my game plan going into next week for this pair. I'm going to be keeping an eye in the event that we begin to get structure demand zones that form on the smaller time frame. I will be buying into this particular supply zone. And then once we get in here, guys, I'll be waiting for price to start reversing to the downside for further continuations to the downside. That's basically the game plan that I have for British pounds, New Zealand going into next week. Now, last but not the least, is British pounds, Australian dollar. If you guys remember from my analysis last week, I told you guys that, we have this key level of resistance in our charts, okay, that finally got broken to the upside, all right, creating this demand zone in the process. And last week, we got a bounce off of that level. You can see price traded onto that particular level and closed the markets just above that level. And I told you guys, well, this level, in my opinion, is a very key level. I would love to see what the markets would do. And you can see how the bulls came into these markets and continue to push price clearly to the upside. So the bulls are in these markets. I am more bullish than bearish as far as British pounds Australian dollar is concerned. Right now we are pretty much running into this particular supply zone. All right, this is a supply zone. You can see the break of this level of structure. So well, maybe from here we might get a little pullback If that happens, in my own opinion, anywhere from right around here would be a very nice area to start going long in this particular currency pair for further continuations to the upside. Yes, I'm more bullish than bearish. Any pullbacks, in my opinion, will serve as an opportunity to buy in this currency pair for further continuations to the upside. All right. So guys, that's basically it. Hopefully you gained some value from this particular weekend forecast, from this particular video. And if you did, please do not forget to like and subscribe to my channel. Click on the notification bell so that you will always get updates whenever I post a video. I wish you all a very profitable trading week ahead, and cheers and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Bye-bye.